Let's go live right now. All right, I think we should be live now. Very good. Yes, okay. Everything's working fine, it seems. So, good day to everyone here, depending on the time zone you're from. Thank you very much for joining this live Q&A session for the Euroculture Erasmus Mundus Master of Arts 2023-2025 intake. During this session, we'll be going over several important details regarding admissions procedures, what the program is like, where you can go during your Euroculture experience, and basically in the second part, we'll be giving you the chance to ask all the questions that you might be having. So for now, you could just leave your questions in the YouTube chat and we'll be able to get around to them in the second part of the presentation. But for now, I'll do most of the talking. So maybe it's good to introduce myself. Hello, everyone. My name is Jelmer. I'm the coordinator for the Euroculture program at the University of Groningen. And I'm joined today by one of our current students in his first year, Gregor. Maybe it's nice to introduce yourself as well if you have a moment.
Yes, gladly. Thank you for inviting me, and I'm excited about sharing some information, some impressions, and also experiences from my side in this Q&A session today with you that are interested in studying this master. My name is originally from Austria, and I'm now just starting my Erasmus Mundus Euroculture Master here at the University of Groningen in the first semester.
Great. Hopefully, thanks a lot, Gregor. Hopefully, we have invited another student. I was told she'd be running a little bit late, so hopefully she'll join in a minute as well. Julia is a second year student, so hopefully she'll also be able to tell you a little bit more about the second year experience of the program. Julia, there you are. That's great. I was just mentioning you.
I'm sorry for the delay.
Hi, just so you know, Julia, we are already live on YouTube right now, so just keep that in mind. This is actually perfect because Gregor has just introduced himself, so now would be a great time for you if you have a moment to let us know who you are, where you're from, and how you got here. Just briefly.
Yeah, sure. Of course. I'm Julia. I'm in my second year of Euroculture right now. I'm from Germany, and I spent my, or I will spend my first, third, and fourth semester in Groningen, and then my second semester in Göttingen. And yeah, I think that's it for a short Euroculture style introduction.
That's great. Thanks a lot, Julia. Well, as I mentioned, please feel free to jump in at any time during the presentation if you feel like you have something to add here. Just give me a little bit of a heads up because I need to do a little stream thing beforehand, so otherwise you won't be seen while you're talking. So for now, sorry about that, I think I'll just start with my presentation of Euroculture and we'll go from there, hopefully explain a little bit to the people at home listening in what they're listening to. So, if you're listening to this broadcast live or if you're listening back to it at a later point, you're listening to a presentation about the Erasmus Mundus Master of Arts Euroculture with the subtitle Society, Politics and Culture in a Global Context. Now, I'm aware that's a very long title, so we'll be breaking that down a little bit throughout the presentation and make it a little bit more accessible. So, maybe let's start with what is the Euroculture program. So, Society, Politics and Culture in a Global Context, Euroculture, is a one-of-a-kind, 2-year, fully English-taught Erasmus Mundus joint master degree in European Studies. So, maybe let's start with what's an Erasmus Mundus program, because I feel like that's not something that might be known to everyone that's listening in right now. To summarize briefly, the European Commission awards grant money to particular projects in higher education. One of this sort of lines of projects that they're taking part in is the Erasmus Mundus project, where they give grant money to programs like Euroculture that partake in particular kinds of educational activities. So one of the distinguishing characteristics of an Erasmus Mundus Master is that we need to have a network of multiple universities throughout Europe, that there needs to be a built-in mobility element, and several other kinds of criteria that we'll be going over throughout the presentation as well. So basically, when you sign up to an Erasmus Mundus program, you'll be signing up to a regular study program, but with a lot of additional interesting differentiating things. We'll be going over those in a minute, of course. So, like I mentioned, it's a 2-year program, so 120 ECTS. So that roughly equates to 4 semesters, the structure of which we're also going to go over in a bit, because it can get a little bit complicated, because in Euroculture you have a lot of choices to make about where you want to go, why you want to go there, and that's also why we bring in some students to give you the perspective of a current student, because we know it can get a little overwhelming. But again, we'll get into that in a bit. So another highlight of Erasmus Mundus Masters like this one is that they are very international. As you can already briefly mention just from this live stream right here, 3 different people, 3 different nationalities, 3 different educational backgrounds. So, and that's the case everywhere in the Euroculture program. So there's a lot of diversity of thought, a lot of diversity of academic background, nationality, and more. So that kind of diversity is also a hallmark of the Euroculture program. So that's also good to keep in mind. So what's European Studies as a program? So more or less, what we do in Euroculture, if we want to very quickly summarize it, is that we have an interdisciplinary approach to academia, wherein the main question that we ask ourselves in Euroculture is more or less, what is Europe? How should it position itself in contemporary times, in contemporary, let's say, challenging times as well? And then what we take as part of this interdisciplinary approach is a variety of academic disciplines that might help us to answer that question. So you can think of the social dimensions of Europe, the cultural dimensions of Europe, the political dimensions of Europe, the historical dimensions of Europe. And what we try to do is meet with all these different backgrounds of students. So we might have some history students, we might have some political science students, some legal studies students. We bring them together in a classroom and basically exchange perspectives with each other in the hopes of enriching each other's understanding of what it means to be European, what it means to be a member of the European Union, and how Europe should position itself in a quickly changing, globalizing world. That is more or less the mission of the Euroculture program. That is more a very quick summary. But then again, Euroculture is not the only European Studies program. So what makes it special compared to another European Studies program? What makes Euroculture unique compared to some of these other competing programs? So one thing is Euroculture actually has a lot of different differentiating elements. So let's go over some of them. The first one that might be good to mention is that Euroculture is a program that is offered by 8 top European universities in 8 different countries, and also 4 top universities outside Europe. So all of our higher education institutions that are part of our network are fully accredited universities, some of which have a very rich history, and especially many of them are also in the top 100 of European universities and global universities, in fact. You can, of course, check all of our partners on ranking lists like the Shanghai list, etc., etc. Feel free to do that. I don't want to put numbers on everyone, also because they change every year. But just know that our universities do quite well and are well-known, acclaimed European universities. As I already kind of briefly mentioned, is that we cover highly topical European issues. The goal is to help you understand the interplay of cultural, societal, political, and contemporary historical issues, and sort of put that in a global context, help you understand the place of Europe within this global context. As I also already very briefly mentioned, Euroculture has an integrated mobility track, meaning that every student as part of our program has to go from one university to another, we think it's very important that when you're studying in an international global context, that you're also traveling and actually getting a taste of what it means to be a part of an international community. So mobility is integral to the program. And we'll also go a little bit over what it means to be mobile in Euroculture, and then we'll also maybe have a chance to get some input from our current students here to give you an impression of what it means to be mobile, what the difficulties and challenges might be, and also how Euroculture maybe helps you during your mobility. So we're known as a program of excellence, which means that Euroculture is a program that is highly acclaimed within the context of the European Commission. We get good reviews. In 2021 or 2020, I forget exactly, we've also been actually proclaimed a success story by the European Commission. 2021 or 2020, I forget exactly, we've also been actually proclaimed a success story by the European Commission out of many of the different other projects financed under Erasmus Mundus. Euroculture has a good reputation and is known as the one that sets an example for other programs in
there's an emphasis on
context.
learning
Euroculture is
and
quite
teaching
well
in
known.
small size groups.
So what that means
So,
is Euroculture is teaching the program in
furthermore,
context where you actually have a
there's
chance
an emphasis
to meet and get to know all of your fellow students, and where teachers and individual lecturers
learning
actually
and
have a
teaching in
chance
small
to get
size
to know you a
groups.
little bit. And
So
what that
with you
means
about
is Euroculture
ideas,
is teaching the
which
program
might
in
be
context
different
where you
to what
actually
you're
have a
used
chance
to,
to meet
depending on
and
where
get to
you're
know
from in
all
your
of your fellow
university.
students,
For example,
and where
let's take my own
teachers and
case.
individual
During
lecturers
my
actually
bachelor's,
have
I
a
was in
chance
lecture halls
to
with
get to
hundreds
know
of
you a little
students,
bit and actually
and
spar
you
with
don't
you
really
about
get
ideas, which
chance
might be
to
different to
meet
what you're
everyone
used
that's
to
in your program.
depending on where you're from.
You're
in
just
your own
more or less a
university.
number
For
in a
example,
bigger system.
let's take
That's
my own
really
case.
not the case
During
with
my
Euroculture.
bachelor's, I was in lecture halls with hundreds of
teaching
students,
staff knows
and
its
you don't
students,
really
knows
get
their
a
challenges, and
good
tries to
chance
work
to
with them.
meet everyone that's
Help
in
them
your
improve
program.
wherever possible.
You're just more or less a number in a bigger system.
Euroculture is
That's
very
really
flexible.
not the
What
case
that
with
means is,
Euroculture. We also offer you the option to choose between two different tracks in the program. If you're more interested in orienting yourself towards research, then you might want to follow our research track, which can help you prepare for a PhD, maybe another kind of research career within your universities or outside universities. But we also have a societal track, or as it's known commonly within the program, the professional track, where we help you and prepare you for a wide range of, let's say, public sector jobs, private sector jobs. Maybe think of working with European institutions, even the Parliament, the Commission. Many of our students can be found in Brussels, for example, working with various European institutions. As some of our current students might also know, who have recently actually been to Brussels as part of an excursion. We have a lot of students and alumni around that area as well. So whether you're interested in research or expanding your career, Euroculture will be a good choice for you. But wait, there's actually even more things, right? So usually Euroculture enrolls up to around 100 students every year. That's the goal. Sometimes we have a little bit less. And the goal is to get our different students and more or less spread them nice and equally throughout the European network that we have. So basically we would have 8 different groups starting at 8 different universities, and they all start in parallel to each other in the first semesters. And after the first semester, they will start moving across Europe and sort of mingling into new different groups at the different universities. So more or less it's an opportunity to exchange not only with students of different academic backgrounds, but also students who followed a Euroculture program at a different university than you. So that's a good thing to keep in mind. And as I mentioned, we're dealing with a real international classroom here. Generally, when you're thinking of international in the context of Euroculture, you'd be thinking, for example, I work for the University of Groningen. We have a group of around 20 students, and then you're dealing with somewhere between 12 to 14 different nationalities within that group, if I'm not entirely mistaken. That's more or less what's expected of a Euroculture group, so you're really dealing with people from all over the world. And that's both inside and outside Europe. That's good to keep in mind. We have representation of students across the entire world. So we're dealing with, we have students from Africa, Asia, North and South America, you name it, Oceania as well. We have students from every continent represented in our program. So regardless of where you are in the world right now, Euroculture will be able to take you on as a student. Maybe not always for the Erasmus Mundus scholarship, but more on that can be found on our website in detail as well. Maybe just to close this off, to make sure that we're not taking too long on this, Euroculture has a summer school, an intensive program. We'll go over that a bit later as well. Maybe Julia, you've actually been a part of an intensive program now, the first one back in physical setting after the COVID years. We're very happy to be able to go back to that setting as well. So maybe you can share a little bit about that in a moment as well. And that will be part of your experience as a Euroculture student in the future as well with one of our European universities. So yes, Euroculture is accredited in a new European setting. So European accreditation for educational programs is still quite new, but Euroculture is setting a trend here for other programs and has already received an actual European accreditation for the program. Finally, Euroculture has its own alumni organization and its own very active community, which is expressed in the Euroculture magazine. Maybe I can share a link to that in a bit as well. That might also be interesting to you as a prospective student, where students, as current students, share their experiences. What are they doing in Euroculture? Maybe they'll give you city guides to particular in a bit as well. Cities that might also be interesting to you as a prospective student. Community of Euroculture, where students, as current students, share their experiences. Very current content. What are they doing in Euroculture? Maybe they'll give you city guides to particular. They are one of the cities in the consortium. So really taking that community of Euroculture, giving you that student perspective. Very actual, very current content. They're very active on social media. If you're interested in Euroculture at all, they are one of the key places to go after the program very quickly. We'll go over the specific statistics in a minute, but Euroculture students to get a look at what it's like to be a suitable employment within 3 months. 70% and maybe this is students, in fact, just a good note to close on. Euroculture students tend to find appropriate 6 months and for jobs after the program. Speaking to other, we'll go over the specific statistics in a minute. Euroculture students in other European generally find suitable employment within 3 months. So 70% of Euroculture students tend to get, and 90% find suitable employment in 6 months. And for comparatively speaking to other arts programs, social sciences programs, in other European just a few other programs. That's a very good statistic. We're recognized as a Master of Excellence, and Euroculture students tend to get in a good position in the labor market very quickly, which is more or less the choice guide. So that would translate. That's a good thing to keep in mind. It's done every year. Euroculture is highly rated as well. The National Student Survey, just a few other statistics were, as I mentioned, were recognized as a Master of Excellence in success story. Years, many of these surveys weren't done, so it's kind of hard to get more recent data, unfortunately. But hopefully we'll be able to get some more recent data after current cohorts graduate the program. But before COVID, Euroculture was very well known, and that trend has not really changed all that much. And generally, we're highly rated by our alumni as well. Many students that graduate tend to stay in touch with us afterwards and stay a part of our community afterwards. Stay in touch with us as teachers, employees, and that's very nice. So generally, when Euroculture is something that sticks with you even after your graduation as well. As I mentioned, we're a network of many different universities across Europe, and all of these different universities teach the program. But where are we exactly? Where could you study if you wanted to be part of the Euroculture program? So we have 8 universities in Europe. Currently, the first 4 of these you can see on the screen right here. So the University of Groningen in the Netherlands, which is where I'm talking to you from, and I believe both of our current students are also currently in the University of Groningen, but they've been to other places, don't worry. The University of Deusto in Bilbao in Spain, maybe just a small disclaimer, if you're interested in the University of Deusto, they will not be able to offer the first semester for your intake, but you will be able to go there for your second semester. So feel free to mention that you're interested in going there, mentioning them in your motivation letter, that's not a problem. Mention that you're interested in going there, mentioning them in your motivation letter, that's not a problem. Then we'll try to accommodate you and send you to Deusto. They will not be able to offer the first semester for your intake. But unfortunately, they will not be able to offer the first semester for your intake. So nevertheless, they are a partner of our consortium and they are a great destination to go to. Then we also have the University of Göttingen in Germany. Then we also have the University of Göttingen in Germany. Krakow in Poland. Maybe it's good to mention that it's actually a bit of a misnomer because there's multiple universities in Krakow. And what we're actually our partner is specifically the Jagiellonian University in Poland. Maybe it's good to mention that it's actually a bit of a misnomer because there's multiple universities in Krakow and what we're actually institutions there. So yeah, do not get confused. But please, you can look it up on our website after. The full details can be found there as well. Our other four partners are the University of Olomouc in the Czech Republic, in the Czech Republic, France, University of Strasbourg in France, and University of Udine in Uppsala, and the University of Uppsala in Sweden. You can start with the exception of the Deusto. You can start with the exception of every one of these universities. You can start when every one of these universities program on our website. When you apply to the Euroculture program on our website, you'll be able to sign up and make your preferences known during your application at euroculturemaster.eu, and you'll be able to sign up and make your preferences known during your application process, and we will try wherever possible to put you at your first. So if you're interested in going to most cases, that's not a problem. Uppsala, it doesn't matter. So if you're in every case, you need to apply through our website, and then the Euroculture Consortium will place you with that university. It's important to know because sometimes in the past, students have tried to apply to individual universities directly. You don't need to do that. The Euroculture program will take care of your registration with the university of your choice and support you throughout the process. But the first step should always be to apply at euroculturemaster.eu. Right, I think that's all that needs to be said there. I think we'll be going over the non-European partners in a bit, because first I think it's good to mention when you would be able to go there and how the curriculum is built up precisely, because otherwise it might get a little confusing. So yes, I'm just skipping over a few slides here to go directly to the structure of the program, because that will also be able to go back and explain some of this that are mentioned in those previous slides. So, as you might know already, Euroculture is a highly flexible program, and what that means is that you are able to steer the curriculum in a direction that interests you. You can use the Euroculture program to pursue your own interests in an academic and professional context. As a result of that flexibility, there's a lot of choice, and as a result of that choice, there's a lot of complexity in how the program. I'll try to give you a quick summary of what you can see in this slide, and that's what you can see in this slide here as well. In the first semester, as I just mentioned, step by step. Right, so you are interested in the Euroculture program. I'll take you through it step by step. Right, so you look at all the information required, you upload all the documents required, you submit your application, and you are then assigned to your first university of choice. That can be any of the 8 European partners that I previously mentioned. That is a choice that you can make as part of your application. Then, when you start there in your first semester in September 2023, you will, in your first semester, follow a series of foundational courses that are more or less broadly the same everywhere in Europe. So, regardless of whether you start in Uppsala, in the Czech Republic, whether you start in Groningen, at each of these universities, you will receive the same core set of skills that's being taught to you. So, during your first semester, the goal is to get you up to speed on different European issues. Because, as I mentioned before, Euroculture has students from a lot of different backgrounds, and that can be very, of course, challenging as well if you're having to combine those different perspectives into one. So what we want to do in the first semester is give you a shared frame of reference, a shared understanding of European issues. So we try to get everyone up to speed on these different issues in the first semester. So we'll be doing courses on the history of the European Union. We'll be doing courses on the political construction of Europe, the cultural construction of Europe, a historical approach to Europe as well. So that's called cultural history. The names will slightly differ in each university, but the themes of the courses will remain more or less the same. So that's really the idea of the first semester. Together with that, we also have a course called Eurocompetence at every university, and in Eurocompetence, we'll be teaching you some transferable skills. Some students might have much more experience with paper writing than others, for example. So in the first semester, we'll also spend some time on how do I cite in a particular reference style, how do I write an academic paper in a particular format. So it's really about building up some of these foundational skills and making sure that everyone is up to speed on these different issues in the first semester. Oh, by the way, I see that a lot of people are already engaging in chat. That's very good. Please, I'll go through your questions in the second part of the lecture. It's very good to see that you're here. If I forget your question, feel free to restate it, because I see there's quite a few messages already, and otherwise I might miss something. Okay, great. So that's more or less the first semester. Foundational courses, transferable skills. I think that's a good summary. Then, more or less at the end of your first semester, you'll then be asked to make a choice to go to a second university. That's done during the program, so you don't need to do this in advance. Except if you have an Erasmus Mundus scholarship, but we can go into those distinctions a little bit later. But generally, most students of Euroculture will be asked to make a choice for the second semester during the program. It's around October, November, so I think the current students should have their destination known to them about a month at this point. That's more or less the goal, a month to a few weeks. And what they do is then you submit a motivation letter, a brief one, and then again, much like with the first semester, we'll try to give everyone their first choice wherever possible. Sometimes we do have to send a few people to their second university of choice because there needs to be some balance. For example, we cannot have 80 people going to one university. It doesn't work that way. That generally doesn't really happen, but there needs to be some balance within the network. In the second semester, that's where you really get the first opportunity to make a lot of choices in your program that you weren't able to make in the first semester, because that's really about more foundational skills. Every university within the consortium has their own research specialization, their own thematic focus is the word that we use on our website. So while every university more or less deals with the same broad topics, within those topics there are particular specializations that might exist. For example, just depending on the expertise of the staff at that university. They might teach different research seminars, they might teach particular problems from slightly different perspectives, and students are informed of those different perspectives in advance and then asked to make a choice depending on where they want to go, depending on their research interest, what is best for them. Usually, we often get asked, can't you provide us with more information about that in advance of the program? Because I'd very much like to know what research seminar will be offered at University X, Y, or Z. Unfortunately, that's quite challenging because these change every year. Our teaching staff has different interests, is pursuing different research. So what they taught last year won't necessarily be the thing that they'll be teaching next year. So that's just good to keep in mind. However, if you're really interested in knowing a little bit more of the specifics, feel free to send an email to, let me just put this in the chat right here, euroculture@rug.nl. This is the main point of contact you can always reach out to for any question related to Euroculture. I can also send you some information on what has been done in previous years. So that might not be a guarantee for what you can do in the future, but at least it will give you some more detail on what has been done in the past. So that might be useful to you. Feel free to send us a message about that, and I can give you all the information you're looking for. Right, so that's part one of the second semester. You will be doing specialized research seminars that are dependent on the university you're interested in. You will also always be taught a course on methodology and research methodologies. So in this course you'll be going into basically that question you want to be asking yourself is, what research methodology suits my personal academic interests? What kinds of research should I be pursuing? So for example, maybe you're interested, depending on your background, in more quantitative analysis of data. Maybe you're more interested in qualitative analysis, so something like a discourse analysis. During this course, the idea is to expose you to different kinds of methodologies that are out there and help you pick and choose what might be suitable for your research in the future. So that can be a variety of different things, and also, again, depending on the research expertise of different university partners, there might be some that go into more details on particular things, but the goal is to expose you to a wide variety of options and help you choose what might work for your future projects. Finally, the final element of the second semester is the project management course. So Euroculture students and Euroculture alumni often get told that one of the most valuable things that they have in their skill set is their ability to manage projects independently. This is a skill that is becoming more and more relevant on the contemporary labor market within research. Being able to manage your own projects, being able to set effective goals, reaching those targets, that's a crucial skill to have in contemporary labor markets, and it's something that is also, for example, sometimes we get reference calls from companies asking about specific alumni, and what we often hear back is that this idea of the project management course is very interesting to them, because they want to know what kinds of skills are taught, what kinds of things students of Euroculture are exposed to. And the idea is, during your competence 2, or project management as we call it, you'll be asked to perform and basically set out your own project and execute it. This can be anything. It should have a thematic relevance to Euroculture, but within that framework, a lot of different things goes. It's a very independent project, usually with a small group of different students. How do you handle the group dynamics? How do you make sure that your goals are feasible? These are the kinds of questions you'll be asking yourself. You'll be making a plan, you'll be learning and thinking about, how can I get my own resources, can I get funding? Those are the questions you want to be asking in project management. And usually there's some very interesting things that can come up here. Let me just go back, I think maybe it's ahead actually. Yeah, so this is an interesting one. On this slide here, you have the project called EU for Groningen. EU for Groningen was a project from the 2018-2020 cohort that was actually about finding European dimensions in the city of Groningen. So where is Europe impacting Groningen as a city specifically? And that project was actually so interesting to European institutions that after the project ended, the European, I want to say, Commission, or rather a sub-organization of the European Commission, took over the project and now actually keeps it running. So there's also a real chance during these project management courses to make an actual impact, if that's what you're setting out to do. Is if you want to create something that has some lasting impact, you can already start doing this during the program. So that's a good thing to keep in mind as well. So the intensive program, that's at the end of the first year. So you've done everything I just described. So project management, you've found a methodology to design, you've done all these specialized research seminars, you've built these foundational skills in the first semester. Then at the end of the first year, there is the intensive program, which is a summer school at the end of the first year with every student of the Euroculture Consortium coming together in one place to do a variety of things. So I'm just going to touch on this now. I think we have slides on this. Right, okay. So the intensive program, at the end of the first year, you'll be asked to travel to a particular university that changes every year. For the students that are going to take their IP this June, it will be Olomouc in the Czech Republic. You'll be asked to come together and basically do a few different things. During the second semester, you'll also be writing your intensive program paper. So there's a special paper that you need to write in preparation for this event. And during the event, you will actually be presenting that paper to peers, oftentimes students and academic staff that you've not met before. So there's a sense of that this is an academic conference, a chance for you to exchange academic ideas with new people that you haven't met before. And also, along with that, it's also a great chance to network with people from across the Euroculture network, from all these different universities that have similar ideas to yours. Maybe they're working on the same direction. Maybe they're actually going in a different direction, but they have the same point of view on particular things. So the intensive program is a chance for you to network with people from across the consortium and get a chance to basically really build your international network as a professional. And that really sticks with you after the program as well. Because you're in a room with a lot of different people that are more or less more academically inclined, that are as academically inclined towards the same subject matter as you are. So you're dealing with people who are interested in the same ideas, interested in the same concepts, and that can be quite stimulating to have a week-long experience with these people and get the chance to exchange ideas and build new friendships, new networks, and it's really a highlight of the program. So during the IP, there's also excursions. We're also actually at the end of the first week, there's also a gala dinner where all the students come together in one hall and celebrate the successes and the exciting things that were shared during the week. So the intensive program is definitely one of the most exciting parts of the program, and definitely something to look forward to if you're interested in Euroculture. Let's see. So that's the first year. After this intensive program in June, you'll be done with your first year of the program. Is there anything that I still want to say about the first year before going on here? No. I think, is there someone, Gregor, Julia, do you have anything that you want to add on this part of the presentation now, or do you think I should move on? Okay, yeah, that's good. I see, I'm already getting a little close to the end of the time here, so I'll have to speed this up a little bit. And that's unfortunate because the third semester is where you have the most choice of all in the Euroculture program. There's the most diversity of options here. So during your third semester, you have basically, to summarize it, 3 different main choices you can make. So the choices that you have is, do I want to pursue a research track? Do I want to pursue a professional track, or in other words, an internship? Or do I want to pursue a non-European research track? So, as you might remember, I skipped over the non-European partners, and this is why. Because during the third semester, that's when you'll have the chance to go to our non-European partner universities for one semester, basically immerse yourself in an academic culture that is that's the main goal. That's the main goal of the third country research track, non-European research track. During the semester, you'll have the choice to go to one of these places. So that's the University of Indianapolis in the U.S. The University of Osaka. So that's the University of Indianapolis in the U.S. The University of Osaka in Japan. And there's the University of Pune in India. And there's the University of Unam. If you want more experiences from these students, make sure to keep updated on new projects to give students and their experiences a more vocal identity within the program. So keep updated. We'll probably be giving some testimonials from different students. So you'll get a bit more of an insight into their experiences. But the idea is it's insight into their experience. But the idea is it's a 25 ECTS research track, or more or less one semester going to that university research track, where you'll be going to that university as a guest at that compensation from the program for this as well. Receive financial compensation from the program for this as well. So there's actual funding to cover everything there, but it will definitely help for this travel expenses. It's not enough to cover everything there, but it will definitely help you with your travel expenses and some of the living costs. We have good connections with these different universities, and they offer very interesting, very stimulating. We have good connections with these different not only academic, they offer very interesting, very stimulating programs, non-academic content. Not only academics, academically speaking, tours. There's chances to experience the culture excursion you're going to. It's really supposed to be an immersive experience that's not just academia, but there's tours, there's chances to experience the culture of the city you're going to. It's really supposed to be an immersive experience that's not just academia, but also beyond academia. So definitely a choice to keep in mind for your a good chance to get to know a culture you might not. Alternatively, familiar with this track, or to explore further to stay culture that you are and pursue a particular research interest. So one of our definitely a choice to keep in mind as well for your that's third research track. The research alternatively is a little different track. You have the option to stay within Europe and pursue a particular research interest, different focus areas, different things that particular universities might be working on. European universities, for example, as well. In Uppsala, so that's called the research track. But it is here in Groningen. The research track, you really sign on is a little different in every research project. So there's different options, much like in the second semester. So it's different focus areas, different things that particular universities might be working on. Participating, for example, in Uppsala, an already existing research project, and producing some kind of in Uppsala, you really sign on to an existing research project everywhere. So, for example, in Groningen, much the same applies, more or less going. So it's really not a course. It's really not about teaching a particular academics. It's really about participating in research an already existing research project and producing some kind of you can participate in a research project. So that's more or less the goal of the existing research everywhere. To produce something. So, for example, in Groningen, much the same applies. And that's what I did myself. There are you have the option of pursuing a more or less mixed approach where you follow an existing research project, a research seminar in addition to a research project. So after that, you can participate in a research project and really work with an existing research to produce something. Part of the team in the I'm also an alumnus of the program, and that's really a chance to start building your CV and building it up if you're interested. Produce a data set for an existing research project. So it's not just about doing more courses and doing more writing. My third semester, and after that data set was produced, you do actually get mentioned as part of the team in the publication of the paper. So there's really a chance to start building your CV and building it up if you're interested in an academic career in the third semester. So it's not just about doing more courses and doing more writing, but it's also about applying your skills and actually doing research. The internship track. So that's really many names, appeals to many students who have that third semester. You'll be following an internship with. But of course, there's also the opportunity to through one of our universities. So you'll be supported by an individual university. But you are mostly so that's the research placement at an organization. Then there's also the placement track, the internship track, or in professional track. We have many names, but it's the same. Depending on your during the third semester, you'll be following an internship with one of our through one of our universities. So you'll be supported by an individual university, but you are mostly doing independent placement at an organization of your choosing within. Or in some cases even outside Europe, depending on your interest. So this can be quite a lot of different. Is there echo in the voice? Oh no! Really? On our website, you'll be able to find. I see that now. I'm going to share the link to that actually because I think that's very good to share right off the bat. So let me just go to the live stream. Let me just post that. Take 1 minute to see if that's a technical problem, depending on your interest. So this can be quite a lot of different. Is there echo in the voice? Oh no! Really? On our website, you'll be able to find. Oh no! I see. I think I see the problem. Let me just go to the live stream. Let me just post that. Take 1 minute to see if that's a technical. Sorry, 1 second, everyone. I see the problem with the echo now. Let me see how I can fix that. Okay. Okay. Let's see. It's a bit complicated, so can I... Let's see. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. So, Greg or Julia, sorry, I am going to have to throw you out. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. So, and then I'm going to Greg or Julia for the Q&A. Okay. Sorry, so I am going to have to throw you echo when I'm presenting and doing it this way. So, that's something to keep in mind for next time. So I'll ask you to. I'll finish this up, and in 10 minutes I'll ask you to come back in the call. Okay. Sorry about this, everyone. Right. I'll be right back. Thanks. Okay, let me check. Does this actually resolve the issue of echo now? Anyone? Right. I'll be right back. Thanks. Okay, let me check. Does this actually resolve the issue of echo now? Anyone? Right. I'll be right back. Thanks. Okay, let me check. Does this actually resolve the issue of echo now? Anyone? Right. I'll be right back. Thanks. Okay, let me check. Does this actually resolve the issue of echo now? Okay, let me check. Does this actually resolve? Let's see. Okay. How is this now? Is there still echo? How is this now? Is there still echo? Let's see. How is that possible? How is this now? Is there still echo? Okay, I'm sorry about this, everyone. I think this is. I'm sorry, but I think we'll have to continue with this for the moment. I hope it's not too inconvenient. How is this now? Is there still echo? Okay, I'm sorry about this, everyone.